What is up, guys? Rice Vlogs back with another video. Thanks for clicking on the link and checking things out. Today I'm super stoked because we may have one of the final pieces to the Corolla hatchback build. Now it's not necessarily the last part that I'll be getting because I'm definitely still looking into things that I can do to the car. There's always going to be things to change, you know, things to kind of tweak, whatever, so be it. But as of right now, for the most part, this is one of the main pieces to this build that I've been waiting for. I ordered this part in September, maybe like mid-September or so, and they said that it would ship around October. That's all it said. Then I had emailed them and I was like, yo, when is this part coming? You know, you say October, is that mid, is that end? Could it be beginning? What does it mean? They said, you know, we're looking more at like maybe mid-October to end of October. I was like, all right, well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. It was kind of a bummer because I wanted to have this part, you know, while I was still driving the Corolla. Currently, I'm in the garage. I actually have you guys set up on top of the Corolla. But anyway, I have it parked in the garage as of right now because where I live, it is now November 12th and things are getting colder. It's 32 degrees outside today. I'm not really looking to drive this car every day in the winter. I did pick up a beater recently, which I'll show you guys soon. But anyway, let's just get to the point, guys. This part is finally coming. So it is now, like I said, November 12th, and they finally notified me on, today is Saturday, they notified me on Thursday that the part was being shipped, and it says, according to UPS, that it will be here today. So I'm super stoked. I want to start tearing the car apart, now that I can actually park it and leave it sit, have it be, you know, in pieces. Even if the part doesn't come today, I'll still be sitting all right because I still have a daily now that I can drive around. But anyway, I want to get everything taken apart on this thing and get it ready for this brand new part. Alrighty, guys, so you guys know that I currently have a 2JRACING mid-pipe, catted mid-pipe, high flow, all that good stuff, to a Remark catback exhaust. From there, I still have a stock header, and I've been waiting on my header, and this is the part that's finally coming. So of course, I have a 2JRACING header that will be coming very soon, hopefully today. So I'm gonna have to start pulling apart this current engine bay. There's a big black cowl piece that goes across the top that needs to get removed. There's a bunch of screws. The windshield wipers actually get removed along with the motor for it. And then from there, I'll be able to get a lot more room to get my hands down at the back of the engine. And then from there, I'll remove, you know, heat shielding, the stock exhaust manifold, and whatnot. And then once I get to that point, hopefully it'll just be a matter of dropping in the new one and buttoning everything back up. Then we'll get some awesome sound clips. So then from there, this car is gonna have a true full exhaust. From there, it's gonna be header, high flow catted mid pipe, and a opened up catback exhaust. So hopefully you guys are just about as excited as me. This is gonna be a banger, so please stay tuned because I'm gonna have you guys in the engine bay now. Alrighty, guys, so we are here obviously in the engine bay of the Corolla hatch, and this is part of what I was talking about that needs to be removed. So as you guys can see, there's a black cowl that comes across the top here. I need to remove the windshield wiper blades. Down in this area, there's gonna be a whole motor system for the windshield wipers, and just by removing, then underneath here is a metal piece that goes across. Once I remove all that, I'll have a much more direct access into the back of the engine, where if you look pretty close back there, you can see that's like the heat shielding and stuff like that for the header. So it will definitely make it a lot easier to work at getting all the manifold, you know, header bolts off of the actual head and the blocks. So anyway, just basically I need to get all this stuff pulled off. So I'm going to set you guys up off to the side here just so you can kind of see, you know, what there is to it. There's not a whole lot, but it can be a little bit of a pain in the butt just because it's a lot of extra steps just to get to something in the back of the engine. But once you get rid of all this up here, it definitely opens up this engine bay much wider than it needs, and it's great. Alrighty, so like I said, there's a few of these tabs right around here, so we can undo these. A couple of them get like slid in there. So take those out, we'll set them off to the side here. Then I'm going to pop these little caps off of the windshield wiper blades. They're just a little plastic cap. Just got to get a screwdriver underneath it. Take those off. Then from there, these are either a 13 or a 14 mil. I'll check this with a 13 first because that's what I got right here. So we got our 14 mil. Just kind of pop them loose, and now I can unscrew them by hand. Set this stuff off to the side. Now you just kind of have to wiggle and pull these off. It's always kind of good to push where it hinges here, and that'll kind of break it loose for you. And then it's just a matter of kind of wiggling it off. Same thing on this one. Hit it a little bit and pop it off. Corner pieces that I'll actually remove first. They look like so. Just a little corner piece that I'll just pop out as well. Come on. There we go. Just like that. So I pulled really hard on this corner. This entire piece then, as you can see, popped out. But basically there's just a plastic piece along here that kind of has like a L shape, and it basically just hooks down in underneath the windshield there. And it's really tight click fit, you know, it's kind of weird how it fits in there. But basically, you just got to be kind of forceful, rip it out, don't be afraid that you're going to break it. So yeah. The top hat bolts are here, so you'll remove those, and definitely when doing this job, be kind of proactive. Think about what you're doing. You know, if you leave the car on its weight, it's not jacked up or anything like that right now. So by taking those top hat bolts out temporarily, it's not going to throw anything off. Those won't, you know, pull out or anything. But say you had the car on jack stands right now, you pull those out, that's going to fall down. Then you're going to have a pain in the butt on your hands. So make sure you leave the car on its body weight first, okay? I can't stress that enough because I've done this before. Pulled the top hat bolts out while it was in the air, not really thought about it, and next thing you know, she's laying on the ground. So leave the car on its weight. Now you can work on removing this side though. You have another wire that goes back to this set of motors here for the windshield wiper arms. So there's a bolt here that you'll remove. It's a 10 or a 12 millimeter. Probably looks like a 12. And then underneath this little plastic piece, there's another one there. So we'll undo those two, and this set of motors will come out, and then we'll undo this wire here and the plug there. So alrighty, so these are actually 10 mils, so just pop these out. It's gonna be a bolt with a washer that's actually kind of stuck on there, so we'll take that guy off. Same thing on this side. So once you get those two out, this is actually going to come forward a little bit, and then there's a piece in the back that's a metal piece that has like a groove like this, and then the little bushing slides into that. So you're just going to slide it over, and you just kind of have to wiggle it out like that. As you guys can see, I have had this apart before when I did the coilovers. So this plug or this little plastic pin here popped right out, same one back there. You guys, if this is your first time, will actually have to kind of pry at them, kind of wiggle them out. But anyway, once you get this part, then just undo the plug. Then you can entirely remove this whole windshield wiper motor. At that point, now you'll be able to get to a few 10mm bolts in the back here, as well as 3 other ones back there, and then you have to do one at each corner that are 10mm. Possibly like this one has 2 at this corner that you can see. So you undo these 2, there's 2 over there, maybe 1 over there. But once you get all those taken out, I'll give you guys a count of how many bolts there is. And then like I mentioned, you'll have to take out these 3 on each corner, each half, whatever. 14mm bolts for the top hats of your coilovers, struts, whatever you still have here. So we'll work on doing that, and then this whole piece you're gonna have to kind of wiggle and work its way out, which you'll see in a second here. Alright guys, so the count for all the 10mm bolts in here, there's 2 here at the top hat, there's 2 back here just above the brake booster, behind where that motor was that you removed. Then there's 3 along the back here that are wide open, and then 2 at this back corner for this top hat. So that's a total of 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 bolts total that you'll have to remove that are 10mm, and then you'll have the 3 and the 6 in total of the 14mm for the top hat that I still have yet to remove. So alright, now that everything in here is removed, we should be able to kind of fight this, but lift this up and wiggle this out of here. So just like that, we now have it removed. This time it wasn't too bad, but my first time doing it, guys, I definitely struggled with it. Remove some of these leaves out of here. So now I have the top portion of my strut wide open here. Same thing over there. Now, just to be safe, because I get carried away sometimes, I may have to jack the car up to actually get underneath and undo the mid-pipe to header bolts. So just to be safe, I'm going to put these 14mm nuts back onto the top hats, just so that way I can't have any air where I accidentally forget and jack this up and have these struts fall out of the top hat bolt holes. So throwing those on right away real quick. I'm going to remove here, just kind of blocking some of the brake lines, these heat exchanger lines, stuff like that. So there's 2 10mm bolts or nuts that I see here, and then I know for sure that there's one down at the bottom here. That's kind of hard to show on camera, but I'll remove that one, and once I get this removed, I'll be able to show you guys. One thing I want to note though, definitely be careful around heat shielding, because this stuff is sharp. I've been cut wide open a few times by heat shielding. Anybody that's worked on cars may be able to vouch with me on that one, so just be careful. Maybe don't rush this part, because you will slice yourself open on this heat shielding. If you guys notice, there is a heat shield actually on the header itself. So what I'm going to do here first though is I'll remove this little plug that goes to the O2 sensor. So it looks like just a simple little tab here, which you could push on there. go. So that's interesting. If you guys seen that, kind of got you out of frame, sorry. So the plug that was now just in this little spot here, just remove that, and it pulls out of these couple metal spots. Now it'll just kind of hang down there. Just like that. We removed this little wiring that helps hold that O2 sensor wire off of the anything metal. And just so I don't lose it, I'm gonna actually run this bolt right back into the head here. Now, I just want to show you guys something. Now that I'm in the garage, there's a huge risk with working in here. Trying to jack the car up right now. This is the most stressful thing I've ever done in my life. It doesn't look good. It doesn't. But we're alright. Don't need to go super high, but get enough height so I can get under the car. Let me check to make sure things are alright. Yeah, should be fine. Alrighty, the car is now currently up on a couple jacks. So as you guys can see, there's just those two bolts there that just need to come off of the back of the cat there for the header. And then of course it's just connecting to this mid pipe. So I already got them loosened up, just broke them loose, and then I'll just zip them out with the impact. And that's the bottom half of this, super easy. Alright, so just like that. I didn't show you guys because it's pretty tight under here. I can't really get the camera under here very easy and work at the same time. But anyway, got those two bolts removed, and now we'll just go to the top and work on removing all the bolts that are connected to the head. So now, one other bolt that's kind of harder to get at, but down here, I already broke it loose, but it's actually easier once you get all this stuff opened up to just get your arm down in there. There's a little bracket that's holding the header in another spot that's kind of like a fixed point, and then this nut was on that stud down there. So you just kind of need to reach down in there and break that loose. You'll have to kind of feel. It's really hard for me to try to show you guys, but basically it's at this back corner directly underneath the cat here. So from that point, now we just have all the actual like manifold nuts that are going to be holding this to the back of the head. I'll try to figure out a way to get you guys set up so you can actually see down in there, and then I'll be taking all those off. It looks like they're about a 12mm possibly. So let me try to get you guys set up so you can see that now. So I took out all the bolts, or the nuts on the back of this, and it was a bit of a struggle to try to wiggle things out, but you kind of just have to mess with it a little bit. Make sure you for sure have everything undone, and then of course there's that mid pipe that's still attached on there. If you want to make it a little bit easier, you could always remove that. I was trying to do without, which I actually ended up getting things loose here enough. I just kind of reached my hand down in there, took that mid pipe, pushed it back a little bit, moved it off to the side, wiggled everything really good, and out comes the header. There you can see we have one stud here, a stud down in this corner right there, and then moving along you have some studs just kind of staggering each other, and then right there is a hole. Some of you guys may know what this is, some of you may not. That hole right there is for the EGR valves. So that actually goes through the block, through the head I mean, and out to the front, and then there's a tube that then connects to the intake and allows exhaust gases into the intake. So there's actually 3 studs kind of in this area. Let's see if I can show them right there. So those 3 studs, make sure you get all those. And I'm gonna pull this gasket. I'm actually going to leave the gasket on. There's really no reason to remove it because I'm going to reuse it. It's still pretty fresh. But yeah, there is the exhaust holes on the head. See, we have both headers here laying on the cardboard right here. So like you guys already seen, this here is the OEM header, and this of course is the 2J Racing aftermarket header. So as you guys can see, there is a bit of different kinds of, you know, flow that these are all taking, and then it's more of a 4-to-1. So as you can see down the pipe there's 4 pipes that actually turn into 1. Versus this one, of course, that had, you know, not much crossover or anything. They just kind of all ran into one big plenum, and then from there it just kind of went into this canister. Like I said, you got the cat there, so it's going to be more restrictive. Whereas here, of course, each one has its own line that it runs down, and everything's just going to flow a lot better. From my understanding, technically there's a bit of a unequal length here, but I'm not too sure. I think these are considered long tube headers, just because they all flow individually into one, you know, further down. So it's kind of hard to say for sure, but I think that this will have similar sound, just more of a, you know, obviously more noise. It's going to be a little bit more free flowing, stuff like that. But anyway, I'm not too sure how it's going to be. We'll just kind of have to see. And then as you can see, the EGR here is running down and then dumps down here. This one, it actually just goes into the side of what looks like possibly cylinder 3 here. So you just have it kind of dumping down and doing its own thing. Straighter pipe and everything there too. Not that I'm going to be using it because it's blocked off anyway, but that is something else to note. So basically, guys, I have to take out the O2 sensor from this. I had to run to Harbor Freight quick, and I picked up a O2 sensor socket because the way that this is designed, there's literally no way to get in there except for with a true O2 sensor socket, just like so. It allows the wire to hang out the side while still being able to ratchet it. So I'll take that out. I'll be able to install it however I please here. Another thing to note, guys, so 2JRACING did send this gasket, but I'm actually not going to use it. Reason being is a lot of times these gaskets tend to fail. It is honestly like cardboard in there, just meshed between 2 pieces of metal. So it's really not too great. I've had them fail in the past. You're better off just not running a gasket than running this even. But I'll still use the factory gasket that was used with the OEM header. It should work just fine because it's the same shape and everything like that. They did also supply a donut gasket to go to the mid pipe, so I will most likely be using this one instead of reusing the old one. I did take the old one off of this just in case I needed it, but because they supplied me one, I'll probably just use this to have a fresh, you know, nice seal. But yeah, so I'll get these swapped over, guys, and we'll be ready to put this thing in the car and get some sound clips. Guys, let's get these flip-flopped over. Hopefully breaking this loose won't be too bad. Nope, not at all. And would you look at that, this whole cup is coming with it. It's kind of interesting. So it looks like this cup's gonna have to stay on it. Really not a big deal. Just have to reuse the socket to now install it on the new one. Good and tight. That ain't going anywhere. Alright, but now I'll bring you guys to the front and we'll drop this thing down in the engine bay and we'll start installing it. Kind of a bummer now that it's dark outside. It's going to be a little bit harder to see all of this. I do have a light going right now just to try to help everything, but and just to let you guys know too, just for your reference, there is 7 nuts then that will have to go on here. Alright, so we have all the nuts in there, just kind of hand tight on everything. Now I'll get in there with a wrench and actually tighten it up good. Alrighty, so as you can see, we now have a header installed where it is completely fixed to the engine as well as to the rest of the exhaust back. So that's done. Next will just be pulling out this 8mm screw again, adding that little bit of like wire so this guy can sit nicely in here. And then of course we'll plug that back in there. But I am going to add back that heat shielding that just went on these two posts here and then down lower on that blue-ish screw down there, just to kind of help, you know, protect some of this stuff again from heat at least. So we'll get that installed and then we'll get that wire piece installed again, and then we'll be buttoning everything up here again. So let's get it. Alright, so I did just end up cutting it. So this piece I'm going to still use. This is the piece that was on there, if you guys can see, just like that. So anyway, I just cut that off. This extra part's not going to be needed. Now we'll just use this guy down below, and it'll just hold it closer. Alrighty, so as you guys can see right there, it's that piece reinstalled now, and it's just kind of holding the wire in the middle spot, just to kind of help keep it off of any kind of heat. And then here I kind of have the extra just kind of tucked underneath this. So shouldn't have any issues with that, as long as it can't like hang on the header, which it shouldn't now because it's being held by that. Pretty unlikelihood of it getting pulled out. So yeah, now that that's done, we just need to reinstall that black piece across the top. We're first going to have to undo those top hat bolts or nuts again. So undo those, and then from there we can reinstall that top piece, and then we're just really piecing things back together. We're on the home stretch here, so before you know it, we'll have some sound clips. Alright guys, I didn't want to start it quite yet on camera. I just did it real quick. Kind of felt around. I didn't feel any air blowing. I didn't smell anything besides the oils burning off of the header already. But so far so good. All I can say, I mean, it's in the garage, so it's going to be a little bit louder because of that, of course, but this thing is already a little bit noisier. So let's get this last few bits of pieces on, and let's go from there. So anyways guys, we got this here. So you just kind of got to get it lined up somewhat close, and then you can just push it in, and it just kind of snaps down in there. As you can hear it. There we go. So that's back in its place where it needs to be. Now we can add those little corner pieces. This thing's gonna be rowdy, boys. I'm excited. I've never been this excited yet for this car, just because everything's been pretty subtle, and because I had to wait so long for this part, it's like, oh man, the wait's been real. So now I just know, like, hopefully, and I already kind of can tell, it's definitely all gonna pay off for that wait. Alright, so now we can put all these tabs back in. This one accidentally got pushed, so I gotta pop it back up. There we go. Get this one in place. Alright. Alright, those are all snapped in. Now we just have wiper blades and we're almost done. So this guy first, just kind of want to get it sitting in there, pretty similar to how it was. It's hard to gauge it exactly because I know these are like fine tooth splined as well, so there's a lot of adjustment factor to them. But we'll get them close. These again, I think were a 14 mil. If I can find my 14. There's one. And two. Get a wrench on there and make sure they're good and tight. Because sometimes the impact doesn't actually get things that tight. It might sound like it with all the noise and everything, but it's always good to do a good hand check. Now we'll throw these caps back on. And I think that's it, guys. As you can see, everything is buttoned back up. We have wipers back on. Everything is all concealed again. So there's really not much left. But now at this point, guys, we can do a frickin' sound test and see how this thing sounds. Alrighty guys, so that's it for today's video. It was a pretty long video, so I'm gonna end it there. I'm not gonna add any more sound clips or anything like that, but I did get a bunch of sound clips of me doing drive-bys, fly-bys, takeoffs, drive-offs, you know, whatever kind of sounds that we can get from this thing, I tried to get. So stay tuned for next week, because that's gonna be a separate video now where I'll have just strictly sound clips of this header with the high flow catted mid pipe and the remark catback exhaust. So that's going to be the entire clip set up for next video, so please stay tuned for that next week. I promise you it's going to be worth watching, because it definitely gives you all different aspects of how this car sounds at this point. But I will note that just from the little bit of driving I've done with it and whatnot, there is some rasp now, which kind of sucks, because these obviously are not high powered muscle cars or anything like that, so to make them sound good usually it is kind of hard. So with opening up the exhaust this much and having certain fail points at this point, with having like mufflers still there, that high flow cat, stuff like that, you are gonna have a little bit of like rasp and like tinniness, and when you really get on it, it kind of sounds like that can of bees a little bit. Like, it's not perfect. So I do kind of want to revamp this whole system a little bit with either taking out that high flow cat in the 2J mid pipe, or if that means also taking out the mufflers or replacing the mufflers in the quad exit for the remark, or maybe even replacing the remark with a totally different quad exit, something along those lines. So stay tuned for that as well, guys. That will be a totally different video where I'm going to just kind of trial and error and start cutting apart my exhaust and making it sound even that much better. But for now, this is how the car is, so stay tuned for next week, like I said, and you guys will be able to hear all those sound clips. So that way, if this is something that you want to get into, having this same exact exhaust setup, then this will definitely benefit all of you. And like I said, then if you guys are just like me and want to kind of revamp it and make it like perfect, then there will be video clips for that where I'll be hacking up my exhaust and making alterations to it, so that way you guys don't have to, and you guys can watch and learn and see what you can do to make the exhaust on these cars perfect. So anyways guys, I'll see you guys at the next. Sorry this was such a long video. Hopefully it was helpful to anyone that needed it. Make sure you drop a sub, because there's so much more that's gonna be coming with this car. I promise you guys, this channel's just started, so there's so much more to do, so much more to see. So stay tuned guys. We have road trips planned, we have car shows to go to, all that stuff. So stay tuned guys, and like the video, comment what you guys think, tell me what I'm doing wrong, and I'll see you guys on the next. Peace.